In this video, I will give the summary of the simplex method and we will see when we transit to big M and two-phase method. To see the summary of the simplex method, let us look at this flow chart. We start the simplex method always by selecting an initial BFS and then we compute Zj minus Cj. If all the Zj minus Cj are greater than or equal to 0, and here I have considered the linear programming problem as maximization. So this flow chart that I have constructed is for maximization. If you want to look at this for the minimization problem, then obviously here at this condition Zj minus Cj should be less than or equal to 0 if the current LPP is minimization. So that is an obvious conversion. This I have explained already in my last videos. And if all Zj minus Cj is greater than or equal to 0, then we say that the current table is optimal and hence we stop. And if all the Zj minus Cj are not greater than or equal to 0, that means there are some Zj minus Cj which is less than 0. So this is why we have written no. And for that Zj minus Cj which is strictly less than 0, there are some scalars which are also less than or equal to 0. That means in this case it shows that Z value can improve. Z value can improve, but there is no living variable. So this means this indicates us that if this condition hold, then it gives us unbounded solution and hence we stop. So we are in a feasible region, but the value of the Z is not bounded. In the next circumstances, if there are some Zj minus Cj which is strictly less than 0 and there are some alpha ij which is strictly positive. So this is another possibility for the scalar. In this case, we choose Zk minus Ck which is most negative. Select the leaving variable as per minimum ratio rule. Enter the variable Ak with the most negative and remove the Br vector and hence follow back to the next initial BFS. Here we find the new basic feasible solution by entering and leaving variable, and we have identified the pivot element. So by identifying the pivot or the leading element, we find the new basic feasible solution and when we repeat the process. So this is how simplex method works. So now we can see that for the simplex method working, we always start from initial BFS. That means we need to ensure that our LPP have an initial BFS. In the absence of this initial BFS, we need to move to big M and two-phase. But before moving to big M and two-phase, let us further see which LPP have an initial BFS and what are the formulas to get the initial BFS. So look at the most general linear programming problem. Here optimization maximum or minimum Z equal to C transpose X subject to the constraint and non-negative restriction. A is the coefficient matrix of order m cross n, and if I want to write A matrix in terms of the columns, so A1, A2 there are n number of columns because the order if we have considered as of n columns, and AIs are the column of A. And in the same we can select a sub matrix of the matrix A, that is the matrix B, and this B is called the basis matrix, where we select the B matrix by the selecting some of the variables as basic variable and some of the variables as non-basic variable. So for initial basic feasible solution, once we have selected basic and non-basic variable, we can reduce the system Ax equal to B as Bxb equal to B. This point I have explained all in my previous videos. So now from here xb is equal to B inverse multiplied by right hand side, and noting if B is always an identity matrix, so this xb is straight away equal to the right hand side, and because we have already converted the LPP into standard form, so this means our right hand side is always greater than or equal to 0, so hence this xb act as initial BFS. So this means in the simplex method we always looking for certain basic variable which correspond to identity matrix in the coefficient matrix, because B is a sub matrix of A matrix only. So that means in the matrix A we always look for some of the columns which correspond to identity matrix, and hence we can apply the simplex method. So this is how we get the initial BFS. Now this also ensures that since we are always getting initial BFS, so there are three possibilities in the simplex method that we can get. Either we can have a unique solution, or we may find an alternate solution, and if we can find an alternate solution, we can find infinite number of solutions. This point I have explained also in my last video. For alternate solution, we need to look at the optimal simplex table that will has already given us an optimal solution, and the optimal simplex table, if the Zj minus Cj of a non-basic variable is 0, then there is an indication that there is a possibility for alternate solution. We can find the corresponding leaving variable, and then by taking the convex linear combination of the two solutions that we have obtained, we can find infinite optimal solution. And the third possibility from the simplex method is that we can get unbounded solution. So when we say that unbounded solution, this means the value of the z is not bounded. If the z is a maximization problem, then z may lead to plus infinity. If it is a minimization problem, that z is going to minus infinity. But we are still in the feasible region. Unbounded solution doesn't mean that it is infeasible. It is a feasible region. So we are in the feasible region, but the value of the z is not bounded. So in simplex method, we can see that since we have started from initial basic feasible solution, and either this feasible solution improve for a better value of z, or this current is giving us the best value. So infeasibility does not arrive at this moment. For the infeasible solution, we will be considering the cases in big M or two phase where infeasibility might can come, and this we will discuss in the coming up videos. And now let us look at the formulas that we are applying for the simplex method. First formula is, as I've just discussed, xb is always B inverse multiplied by B, where B is the basis matrix corresponding to selected basic variables. So xb is always equal to B inverse multiplied by right hand side. And the second is scalars, which is we denote by alpha j. This is equal to B inverse Aj, where alpha j is the scalar corresponding to jth variable. And in the third case, z value, this is always Cb into xb. Fourth case, zj minus cj. Zj minus cj is the cost of the basic variable multiplied by scalar. Scalar formula is B inverse into Aj minus cj. And then we can also note it down as a remark that for the basic variable, zj minus cj is always equal to 0. So this we can use as a result also. We can directly substitute this value. And 6, for the non-basic variable, we calculate zj minus cj expression. So this expression we calculate, and depending upon what is the value for zj minus cj, as explained in my last flowchart, we proceed for the simplex method. And notice that in the formulas everywhere that we have this B inverse in the formulas. And once we have calculated this B inverse, we can know xb. If we know xb, we can calculate z. So that means in the simplex method, the key to understand the simplex method is to understand what is B inverse. B inverse is the inverse of the matrix for the selected basic variable in that particular simplex method. And to see the scalar formulas and xb again, let me to take an example. In this example, I am writing first the LPP into standard form. So when we write LPP into standard form, so we just introduce the slack variable or the surplus variable wherever they are required. In these LPP, we only have less than, so we require a slack variable only, and hence the objective function become maximum z equal to 4x1 plus 3x2 plus 0 times s1 plus 0 times x2. That is the cost of the slack variable, subject to x1 plus x2 plus s1 equal to 8, and then we have 2x1 plus x2 plus s2 equal to 10, and all decision variables greater than or equal to 0. Now look at again, if I want to construct the first simplex table. In the first simplex table through the formulas, so we have to always look that in the coefficient matrix whether we have an identity matrix or not. As I've explained, if B is a ready identity, we can always get a initial BFS. So we are always looking for initial BFS. In the A matrix, we have the column as 1, 2, 1, 1. These are the coefficient of x1. Then I have written coefficient of x2, coefficient of s1, and the coefficient of s2. So this has order 2 cross 4, and then from here we can select a basis matrix of order 2 cross 2, which is an identity matrix. If this identity matrix is available, we can easily construct the first simplex table. So we have seen that this xb column is always B inverse multiplied by right hand side. Since B is identity matrix, so it is straight away right hand side 8 and 10, and hence 8 and 10 will come here. And in the initial basis matrix, I have to take s1 s2 as basic variable, because this is I have selected as a basis matrix, and this basis matrix is corresponding to the variables s1 s2 obviously. Here I have written all the decision variable. Now this is the set of scalars that we write. Now in these scalars I have mentioned here, we need to write the scalar in terms of this linearly independent column. So obviously I need to write 1, 2 as the linear combination of 1, 0 and 0, 1. And let us call this as alpha 1, 1, alpha 2, 1. These are the scalar. Or I may write this columns together, and then I may write scalars like this, alpha 1, alpha 2, 1. Now notice that this is B matrix. these are scalars that we need to find, and here is the column A1. So if you look at this expression all together, this is A1 equal to B times the set of scalars, that is alpha 1, alpha 2, 1. Now if we take B on the other side, that means I need to pre-multiply by B inverse on both sides. This is set of scalar. So from here we can see why this formula is applicable. B inverse into A1 is set of scalars. So we get the scalars here alpha 1 into alpha 2, 1. This is the first set of scalar corresponding to the decision variable x1. And again, at this moment B is identity because of our selection that B is the identity matrix. So even the scalar at the first table, they are directly the coefficient of what is given in our questions. And so this column is always B inverse A1, this column is always B inverse A2, B inverse A3, and this one is B inverse A4. So once we have fixed our B matrix, we can all find these entries through the help of the B inverse. Once we know the scalars, we can multiply these scalar with the CB column and subtract it from the corresponding cost of the decision variable. We can find the Zj minus Cj, which is in this case, because CB vector is 0, so here I have written directly this as minus 4, minus 3, 0, 0. And if I multiply this XB column with this CB vector, I will get this CB into XB. And then we can identify which is the entering variable or the leaving variable depending upon what is the problem. If it is maximization, this has to be entering, and we will select the corresponding leaving variable by minimum ratio rule. We identify pivot and we continue using the row operation, our simplex method. So one of the key thing in this construction of the simplex table is B inverse. And if this B inverse is different from this 1001, that is, it is not an identity, then we have to find out separately what is this B inverse. This is of course a non-trivial matrix. And then of course using the formulas we can always fill out these table, but in this simplex method we always tend to start from this identity matrix. Now let us look at the questions in which we can apply the simplex method and in which we need to transit to Bigeman two-phase method. Now let me to consider some of the problem where I just want to understand can I apply simplex method or not. In the first problem, as you can see that this is a maximization problem and both the constraint are less than. So we see that both the constraint are less than, and when both the constraint are less than, so that means certainly we can involve a slack variable in first and second, and hence the coefficient matrix in the first problem will become 1, 1. This is corresponding to x1 decision variable, 2, 1 corresponding to x2, 3, 0 corresponding to third decision variable, 1, 0 and 0, 1 corresponding to slack variable. So these two can be in the initial basic matrix, and hence we can always start from a basic feasible solution. So in this question the answer is yes, we can apply the simplex method. Look at this second problem. Again in the second problem all the three constraints involve a less than. So obviously if all the three constraints involves less than, so here the coefficient matrix again will involve one identity column, and let us see this whole coefficient matrix: 1, 7, 3, 1, 5, 5, 1, 3, 10, then a corresponding to x4, 1, 2, 15, and then corresponding to slack variables. So we still have an identity matrix in this, a submatrix of order 3 cross 3. So yes, we can apply a simplex method here also. In the problem number 3rd, as we can see that we always want to start from an initial BFS, and before that we also want to ensure that the LPP is in standard form. So here in this case multiply this constraint by a -1. So before we look for everything, multiply by a -1 to the first constraint. When we multiply this -1, so this symbol which is greater than, this will automatically turn into less than, and once it is turning into less than 1, so then the coefficient matrix will become, so the first constraint will have a -4, 3, 8, second and third constraint remain as it is. Second is +6, -2, -3, then 5, 4, 3, then we got 4, 1, 2, and in the first constraint now we have a slack variable because now the symbol this less greater than is turned into less than. So we have 1, 0, 0, second slack variable and third slack variable, and again we got a ready identity. So yes, we can start, and the reason that we have always a ready identity, that means xb is always our right hand side. So in this case xb will be this vector, so we always have the answers as greater than or equal to 0. So this is ready BFS from which we can apply the simplex method. In the fourth problem we can see that The first constraint have an equality sign. So obviously now we do not need an introduction to slack variable. The second and third constraint are having less than sign. So we need an inequality. What is the coefficient matrix currently? Corresponding to x1 we have 14, 16, 3. Corresponding to x2 we got 1, 1, minus 1. Corresponding to x3 we got minus 6, minus 6, minus 1. Corresponding to x4 we got 3. x4 is not appearing in the second and third constraint, and then in the first constraint we do not need any slack variable, but in the second constraint we require a slack variable. So we have 0, 1, 0, and then we got 0, 0, 1. So this is corresponding to x1, this is corresponding to x2, x3, this is corresponding to x4. This is slack variable in second constraint. So this is in second constraint, and here this is in the third constraint. So this is in the third constraint. Now notice that B is equal to identity matrix is missing here, but we can find out this identity matrix by dividing this position, this 3 by 1. If we divide this 3 by 1, we can get this identity matrix. So that means, so here before applying the simplex method, divide the first constraint by 3. So dividing the first constraint by 3, we get the simplex table as this. In the simplex table, now notice that I have written x4 as the first basic variable because this will correspond to 1, 0, 0. Once we divide this first row by 3, so x4, s1, s2 will act as a basic variable, and as these are the basic variable now and they correspond to identity. So here I will get 14 by 3, 1 by 3, minus 6 by 3, this is 1, 0, 0, and here it will be 7 by 3. It is not only 7, it is 7 by 3 because we have divided the first row by 3. And then in the second row we will have 16, 1, minus 6, 0, 1, 0. And then we got 5, 3, minus 1, 0, 0, 1, and this is also 0. So this is the first simplex table, and we see what is Zj minus Cj. Corresponding to this, Cb vector is already 0 because in the objective function you can see that there is no x4. So x4 cost has 0. So this is simply the negative of what is given to us in the objective function. So that is minus 2, 0, 0, 0, and hence z is also 0. So now we proceed as usual. This is a maximization problem, so we enter most negative and we find the corresponding leaving variable as per minimum ratio. So here also it is possible to apply the simplex method. So we have to always look for a ready identity matrix available in the question for the simplex method. So now let us look at some of the examples where we cannot find initial ready identity matrix to apply for the simplex method, and hence we need to transit to Big M or the two-phase method. In the first problem, we see that the given problem is maximization, and in the two constraint, the coefficient matrix is straight away 2, 1, 1, 2. This is equality system, and in this equality system, we do not need to add slack surplus variable. This is already into standard form. But in this system, the ready identity matrix is missing. So B is not equal to identity. So we cannot construct directly the first simplex table by putting the scalar 2, 1 as it is. So we have to look for the Big M and two phase. So what I'm saying is look for the basis matrix which correspond to identity matrix so that we can construct the first simplex table. In the second problem, we see that coefficient matrix here is 2, 1, 1, 7, and then corresponding to x3, 1, 0, and because the constraint are greater than, so we need to involve a surplus variable. So this is minus 1, 0, 0, minus 1. Now we may select this B matrix as minus identity, but if we select B as minus identity, in that case xB vector is B inverse multiplied by right hand side. So because B is minus identity, so this will give me answer as minus B, and minus B means B is 4 and 7, so this will give me answer 4 and 7. So the XB initial starting solution is minus 4 and minus 7, which violate our feasibility condition. So we cannot consider directly at this moment. This is not feasible. So we have to look for Big M and two-phase method, or we may say that at this moment we cannot directly apply the simplex method because the ready identity matrix is missing. In the third problem, we can see that this is the given problem minimization, and here x3 decision variable is unrestricted in sign. So first we need to convert this into standard form. So I have written x3 as x3 dash minus x3 double dash and rewritten this in the problem. So once we have rewritten this into problem, we also add slack surplus variable. So in the second constraint, we have added a slack variable. In the third constraint, we have added a surplus variable. And with this, now we construct the coefficient matrix. So in the coefficient matrix, this is corresponding to x1, x2, x3 dash, x3 double dash, and s1, s2. Now we see in the x1 we have 1 1 0, corresponding to x2 we got -3, -2, 2, and the remaining column are these. Now here you can see that the ready identity is again missing. We do not have a ready identity column. So again we cannot construct the first simplex table. Yes, we can always select a basis matrix of order 3 cross 3 and we can find B inverse. So that is a different way. By using the formula we can construct the simplex table. But since there is no ready identity, so we directly cannot write these coefficients straight away in the first simplex table. And hence we look for big M and two-phase method, and this is how we see the transition. If the ready identity matrix is missing in that, then we apply big M and two-phase method, and in the big M and two-phase method we introduce an artificial variable. So we introduce an artificial variable only when the identity columns are missing. So we'll study more about artificial variable in my next video.